Welcome back to Rides and Drives Team Radio. I'm Harvey. She's Kaz, and it's race week. This week, it's the Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Kaz, are we excited for this race?
I'm always excited for more IndyCar racing. Mid-Ohio last year was an excellent race with a couple of different strategies coming together at the end. We've got a more competitive field this year, so there's every reason to expect that we'll see some guys try some crazy stuff, and who knows what's going to happen. And I'm really looking forward to it. But before we talk about the race itself, we've we've had a lot of news over the last week, haven't we?
It's been pretty crazy. I mean, we did a whole thing on, silly season last week on the off week, and that all blew up. Um,
Yeah.
the funny thing is, we were both right.
Yeah, we were both right and both wrong.
Yes.
It's perfect. I really, really like that about it.
Yeah.
Um,
We
Either
were
way,
both, yeah, we were both right. I said that Rasmussen would go to McLaren.
that's right. And I said
And
Dixon would be leaving Ganassi. I did not have him going to McLaren, but
no,
it's either way. Now that we have actual news, and things that we can genuinely talk about, I'm really, really excited to dig into this a little bit. And I think that a lot of the driver market, what we're left with after the moves that have been made, make this race all the more important, which is why I want to talk about it first. All right, so let's start with the things that we either know for sure, have confirmed, or that we have such significant, you know, sources from team confirmation that we can consider them done deals. First, we have Scott Dixon, who definitely confirmed is leaving Chip Ganassi, and every indication from trusted sources of trusted journalists suggests that he will be joining McLaren. This makes a lot of sense. He wants to drive hypercar. McLaren can get him there, do a season or two at Aero McLaren, help them out, bring some of that knowledge and expertise from Ganassi over, and Zach Brown will reward you with that hypercar seat. Outside of
well,
that, he also has a guaranteed seat for the 500 for
yeah,
as long as he wants.
and Zach Brown wants an Indy 500 win more than anything. And
Yeah.
if there's a driver on the grid who helps him get there, it's Scott Dixon.
Yeah, I think so too. That makes a lot of sense. And then the other big confirmed move, obviously, Felix Rosenqvist. This was the kickoff of silly season, announced he would be leaving Meyer-Shank. And as the dust has settled, again, not officially confirmed. But hey, he's going to McLaren. Zach Brown wants an Indy 500 win. And God damn it, he's going to buy as many things that get him close as he can. Um, do you want to talk about, do you want to stop and talk about this now, or do you want to run through the rest of the confirmed stuff? Let's
Let's do the
let's
confirmed stuff,
Okay.
and then we can
Uh
come back to it.
Confirmed Andretti will no longer be financially supporting Dennis Hauger at Dale Coyne. That doesn't mean anything for Hauger's future with Dale Coyne other than he won't stay there, as kind of a notion that he'll be going to Andretti after. It kind of frees him to move around and look at a bunch of other seats. And there are a lot of places that I think might want to look at a guy like Dennis Hauger.
Yep.
Um,
Marcus Armstrong has not re-signed with
Marcus Armstrong
um
has not re-signed with Meyer-Shank. That's not
yep,
to say that he won't.
nope,
Um,
but that's still in play.
and then here's the big twist, I guess. The thing that really throws a wrench into all of this is that, hey, McLaren, all right, Nolan Siegel, sure, that makes sense. But we've got two coming in and only one going out. It's Christian Lundgaard, the only Aero McLaren driver to stand on the podium this year,
Right.
is going to be leaving the team and currently has no home.
Right. And he will have a home.
Oh
There's
yeah,
no
absolutely.
question someone will pick him up. The question is,
Where's he gonna go?
is it Ganassi? Is it Meyer Shank? Is it who knows? Does Penske clear a spot for him?
And I don't think so.
I know, I know.
And it's interesting because when we were kind of thinking about driver market before this and thinking about McLaren, I just assumed one only seat. But
Right.
having Lundgaard involved in the drivers looking for seats throws a big old wrench into the plans of a lot of guys. So now that we have our information, let's talk about our feelings about all of it and what it means. I want to start with McLaren.
Yeah,
I
you go
don't I
first.
don't think this is a really smart move from the team.
It
I
feels it feels like a Hail Mary, honestly, to
mhm.
try and get an Indy 500 win in the next 2 years.
I don't know that look, Felix Rosenqvist is an Indy 500 winner and that's awesome. I don't know that he's a better overall driver than Christian Lundgaard. If the focus is on the 500, I get that, but I mean, you have to think about the rest of the season a little bit. And I mean, Christian's been winning races for you. Uh, He's been outperforming Felix. He's outperforming him in championship points.
Right.
Finishes ahead of him consistently. I just don't necessarily know that outside of the 500, that move really has a lot of basis. That no disrespect to Felix Rosenqvist, who's a great driver. I just think it's a fairly lateral move. I do understand wanting the expertise that Dixon can bring you.
Right.
Even if he never wins the 500 for you, he can maybe help Pato get there. So I get that to an extent, especially if there's nobody young who you really wanted to sign and work with, you know?
Right.
Um, but more than anything, what really strikes me about this from McLaren is that now they have 100% thrown all their money in on Pato Award.
Right.
You had two drivers, one of whom, everybody knows Pato's great, but he's looking a little shaky this year, one of whom's been winning races. And when deciding between the two of them, you chose to put all the money, you're betting on Pato. And
Yeah.
that's great. I think Pato is a really capable driver.
He brings a lot to the table outside of the seat as well. So,
Hmm.
he's I wouldn't go
Fans
so
and
far as
cash,
to
man.
say global superstar, but he's a, North American superstar.
He's as close as IndyCar has to a global superstar, to be sure.
Yep.
Yeah, he brings cash and fans. I totally get it. And he's by all accounts a really likable guy. So great.
Every interaction we've had with him has been nothing but
Respectful,
fantastic.
positive, and he really takes time for fans in a very cool way. So I'm I'm not sure that's the choice I would have made. I'm not sure that's the choice I would have made if I were McLaren.
Yep.
Um, but we'll see how it goes for him. Zach wants a 500, and if he gets one, it will all be worth this for him. I am sure.
It's funny. Yesterday, I posted on Instagram a little meme with the new drivers that we assume will be with McLaren next year, and I said, "Dream team or dream on? Which is it? Which is it?" And
That's such a
the
dad joke.
yeah, it is, but it's such a it really sparked a conversation online.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
curious. I haven't looked at your comments. What was were
there's a
people kind of
bunch.
torn? Are they mixed,
Yeah,
or was there a general consensus?
totally mixed. A
Interesting.
lot of McLaren fans all in. Yeah, this is great. We've got Indy 500 winners. The one comment was this shows how much Zach Brown is committed, wants an Indy 500 win.
Yeah,
That matters much more than the season championship to him.
I mean,
Um,
clearly.
so, but then there's all, every time you put a dream team together, you have to, it sometimes, I mean, when you put a dream team together, it doesn't always happen the way you want it to.
It very
Um,
infrequently does, to be
we've
honest
seen
with
so
you.
many examples of, that. But the one thing I don't see here is I don't see egos clashing.
No, I don't at all. I think that this is going to be a really professional team of guys who work well together.
Yeah.
And look, outside of drivers, Zach's been kind of like pulling staff from Ganassi for a while. It's
Yes.
not surprising that
They've been
I think
gathering
Scott can
people
bring
from
a
other
lot.
teams. They put
Hmm.
that, they built a new facility last year, so they
Hmm.
have, great new facilities. They've invested a ton. And, it, it- Zach, from seeing him on Drive to Survive, he needs to see results.
He's tenacious. I'll give
Yeah.
him that. I think that's the perfect word for Zach Brown is tenacious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And not
he wants that
afraid,
victory.
not afraid. He is
No,
not afraid to stir things up and make moves, as we saw, with him going and getting Piastri,
yeah,
right? So
absolutely.
I this isn't out of character for Zach Brown. It's out of character for McLaren and IndyCar, though,
Yeah. And it's
a little bit.
honestly, it is a little surprising to see Scott Dixon not end his year at Ganassi because I know we talked about the guaranteed 500 seat, but I am sure Chip would have given him that too.
Sure.
If he had said, I'm retiring, but I'd like to come back for the 500, Chip enters a
Right.
fourth car for sure. For Scott Dixon, man. So
Yeah.
that's less of a, I'm surprised and a little sad to see him not end his career in the PNC car. It's just going to be so, I mean, God, he's been driving that car as long as I've been watching the sport. I don't necessarily even remember like many times. I don't have many memories of anything before Scott Dixon was driving that car. So it's really, really strange to see him out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's McLaren. Those are all my thoughts about McLaren and who's going there and what I think about that. Um, Christian Lundgaard is the next natural transition.
Right.
You know, there's one seat that I think everybody wants, and it's that 9 car, right?
Right.
Who doesn't want to drive the same vehicle as Alex Palou? And Ganassi is really clear that they do not weight resources more heavily to Alex. So you're getting this, I
No.
mean, you're not getting his team, but you're getting the
Right. And
same
if he can
resources,
push
same
Alex,
car, and same
the
data. Yeah.
if he can push Alex, they'll love that. Right?
Hmm.
They don't care who wins the race as long as one of their cars wins the race.
They would
They're
love a
not
Ganassi 1, 2, 3. They do not care about the order.
right. So and having seen Lundgaard push Alex, he's not afraid.
No, he races
He's
quite well with Alex.
yeah. So you could clearly see him going there.
I can
He
see him going there for sure.
yeah,
And I think that would be his top choice. If he's offered that, I think he takes that above all. I think that would be everybody's top.
yeah.
There's
There
not
are
a
a
driver
lot
who
of
I think
people.
would
There
take a
are
different seat over
now
that.
probably 5 people lining up for that seat. Ganassi, well, I mean,
I know. I'm saying I think there are 3 likely ones. Like
right.
there are probably a dozen people lining up for that seat and making
Yeah, you've got
inquiries, but
the what I heard is that there are Ganassi has been receiving calls from Formula One drivers,
mm-hmm.
from Formula Two drivers, and from
Mm.
IndyCar drivers.
Hmm. I wonder which Formula One drivers are calling.
Well, there's a former Formula One driver for Honda who might look good in that seat.
I've
And
heard
he would certainly bring a lot of personality to the series.
I've heard the Yuki Tsunoda chatter. I would be super excited if Yuki came over to IndyCar. I think I see him more likely in the Honda charter car, which
Yeah.
we know will be operated by Meyer Shank. But regardless, whatever seat he winds up in, I'd be really excited to see him there.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I mean, Lundgaard is a guy who obviously Ganassi has to be looking at. It would be
Hmm.
foolish of them not to. And if I'm Christian Lundgaard in that scenario, I'm doing a big old fist pump. Thank you, Zach. Like,
Right.
you just gave me a gift if I'm Christian Lundgaard. So I think that is among the most likely scenarios. If Christian were not a part of this, I would think that Marcus Armstrong would have to be the most obvious candidate.
Yeah,
Um,
but and
but he's still right in there with Christian, I
he's an
think.
obvious candidate because of his performance both on road courses and obviously the Indy 500 this year. He looked
Hmm.
fantastic. So I think if you're Ganassi, you have to look at him. And then I think the third driver currently in IndyCar that you have to look at is Dennis Hauger.
Yeah, it's the kiddo, and it sounds a little crazy. It feels a little crazy, but Chip once before knew a kiddo who did half a season at Dale Coyne and said, "I'm gonna put him in my car,"
Yep.
and that man now has 4 championships. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not saying Dennis Hauger is the next Alex Palou. I'm not, but that's not the kind of thing Chip doesn't do.
Right. And you've got 2 other solid drivers in the team. So you have room and time to let this third seat grow. And
Yeah,
and that's the other thing about IndyCar, where maybe you have more patience with the driver than you do in Formula One, because there isn't a team championship, not an
you
official
don't.
one. We have one, but
Yeah, we have
there's not
ours.
not an official one. So
Yeah, nothing that pays. And I think that that's what really matters to
yeah,
these
if there were
teams.
millions of dollars on the line, those second and third seats would be swapping a lot more in
Man,
IndyCar, which,
someone could fund our championship.
yeah,
Anyway, yeah, so I think that I agree with you. I think those are the three likely guys to take this Ganassi seat. Um, Depends on which Formula One drivers are calling, you know?
yeah. Well, I think we can go into this in more depth next week.
Yeah, we will.
Let's do that. Let's do another silly season show and really talk about all the seats and all the drivers in play, both in and outside the series, who might be interested to come in. Because not only do we have that Ganassi seat, depending on where Armstrong goes, you've got two seats at Meyer Shank, which is a great opportunity,
And
right?
if indeed Honda does put the charter car in the field at Meyer Shank, there are potentially three Meyer Shank seats,
Yeah.
which wow,
Yeah.
what an
You're talking,
opportunity. You got to
yeah.
talk about Rinus VK. I've heard that Meyer Shank is in talks with Kyle Collette, or maybe not in talks with, but at least interested in Kyle Collette. Who wouldn't be? He looks
Yep.
awesome. No, there are a lot of drivers who could move. I'm
And
very
then there are
excited to
Indy
see how
Next
this goes.
drivers.
And yeah,
So,
we have to give a seat to the Indy Next champion. So we know we'll be
y-
seeing whoever that is.
but what that does do is it means every race this season now puts more pressure on those drivers
From
to,
now until the end of the season, that's right. It's not just the championship on the line every single race because there are so many high value seats available, which drivers from midfield teams will take and then leave those great midfield seats open. Um, every race matters so much for where people are going to be sitting next year. And I think this particular race,
yeah,
this road course, I think I've got laser focus on Marcus Armstrong and Christian Lundgaard because for me, it is likely that the two of them are fighting for the Ganassi seat.
yeah. I think, they certainly are. So where they finish from now to the end of the season will really matter for those two. I think that's for sure. So we have to watch them both.
Hmm.
Um, Lundgaard had a great race here last year,
Hmm.
finished third. So, that's certainly for him to do that again. I think,
Would be a strong
it
statement.
would be a strong statement. Rinus VK has come on strong lately. He finished ninth in this race last year, so didn't do badly again.
Yep.
And so
And I
yeah,
think it's important for Renas to have a big result right now because the conversations when these things start happening, when silly season really gets started, the conversations we all have aren't about Renas VK until all of those big seats are filled. Renas needs to remind everybody that he's there right now. I think that this is a good time for him to have a great result and get his name written about in a positive way so that once that Ganassi seat is filled, because look, I love Rinus VK as a driver. I don't think Ganassi's really giving him a serious look. Once that seat is filled,
yeah.
well, he could. He is good. Once that seat is filled with, whoever, Meyer Shank might be looking at Rinus VK. I think that's a real possibility.
Mhm.
Um, and
No, I mean,
better if you have them thinking about you now.
right. I mean, actually, if you're Penske or Andretti right now, you're kind of mopping your brow a bit, saying thank you, because you've got your lineup set. You don't have to participate in this
Sit back and
unless
relax.
somebody really came on and you were like, you know what? Maybe we should go after this person or that
Well,
person.
I mean,
But
Penske would have a real struggle doing that considering they don't have any contracts up.
no, and what they would have to do what, McLaren did and say,
Yeah.
you're under contract, but sorry,
Yeah.
you know, we're going to eat it and do this because we think it's a better play.
Oh, I also just want to take a quick second, speaking of Andretti, to just go back and say Marcus Erickson told us at Content Day this year that he always performs better in a contract year and he feels really optimistic about what he's going to be able to do. And hey, Marcus, excellent job. You are the Oracle. You're
Yeah,
correct. He's performed very well for Andretti this year and done enough to save that seat. And that was
no
proven when they
question.
said, "Hey, Hauger, fly free." So
Yeah.
congrats to Marcus. That's really a job well done. And I'm excited to see him continue racing there.
So who else do we look at in this race then? As people who are trying to prove themselves for one of those seats. We mentioned Dennis Hauger. We've talked about a little bit about Kyle Collette, but he seems to be someone who could be
What Kaio needs is to finish a weekend clean. It has not always been his fault, although sometimes it has. But Kaio has made it. It's got to be. I don't have the exact percentages, but it's got to be like 85, 90% of the way through a race looking great. And
yeah,
then something happens in the last 10 to 20 laps that makes him and I think that I think he's still done enough that a team like Meyershank is going to look at him and say, give it time and he'll find his limits a little bit better. And we'll give him some really excellent machinery so that it won't crap out on him and he can make it through the weekend. Um, I, but I think a finish does help cement that a little bit.
right.
Um, I definitely, I mean, we've mentioned Hauger. I think that he could theoretically, this is crazy, but it's possible that he could be driving for that Ganassi seat. And if he is, he should, I mean, he should put it all out there. And
Right.
he drives like he will. So I'm expecting to see that. And then here's kind of a touchy one. I think that with the market being as crazy as it is right now, with, as you've spoken about, a number of theoretical incoming drivers, and as far as we know, we have no retirements announced. Nobody's looking to leave yet.
Right.
Um, I think Santino is under more pressure than we would have thought at the beginning of this season. Not
Yeah,
to not to potentially move up, but to keep his seat at AJ Foyt at all.
I I agree with you. They love him. He's a
Yeah.
great guy in the series. He had a strong second half of last year that kind of cemented him in that team, but he has not delivered yet this year. He's running 17th in the championship right now. He has really not looked better than Collette, even though he's ahead of him in the standings right now.
Right. And championship points wise, he has outperformed his teammate. But like I just said,
Yeah.
Colette's had some wonky end of race incidents. And even if half of those didn't happen, Collette would be higher in the championship than Santino. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have to go back and double check to know for sure, but I'm pretty sure he was running top 10 at the end of the Indy 500.
Yeah. I haven't looked at it, but
It
yeah,
was at least top 15,
he was,
which he was
he,
easily the top rookie at that point.
yep.
And then he had a true rookie mistake, and this was his own error. So I'm not, but I, even half of those,
Yeah.
little rookie mistakes not happening, and Colette is beating Santino. Santino, you're right. He is a super nice, cool guy. I always, when I'm looking for an interview, look for Santino because he's just warm personally. Like he makes you
Yep.
feel comfortable. I like to interview Santino at the beginning of the day because he just gives you that confidence to go through your day. And it brings me no joy to say, but look, Penske is gonna look at Miles Rowe soon,
Right.
which means they're gonna want AJ Foyt to take him. If Colette does in fact move to Meyershank, Santino can probably breathe a little bit easier. But if Colette stays at AJ Foyt,
Yep.
mm, I
Then,
don't know.
yeah.
If AJ Foyt has to make the choice between Colette and Santino, I do think they keep Kyle.
And then, okay. So again, we can talk about this more next week, but I think that makes this race important
Yeah,
for Santino.
it does.
I agree with you. He's the one driver in this field. I mean, there are a number of drivers in this field who may not be here next year, but
We will guarantee say goodbye to one.
he's surprising that he's now on that list for me.
I would not have thought at the beginning of the season that I would be thinking about Santino losing the AJ Foyt seat as a possibility.
Yep.
But here I am.
The other driver to talk about a little bit, and not because he's going anywhere or, we're worried about his performance and him moving up, is Mick Schumacher, because he now gets his fourth race engineer of the season.
I know. I can't
Uh,
believe he's on four. I found that out earlier today.
yeah,
I knew that he
RLL.
was, yeah.
Yeah, RLL has put Todd Malloy in charge of his pit box now, and Todd Malloy is the director of race engineering for RLL.
Yeah.
So while no one's going to be calling Mick for one of these better seats, I think this puts Mick on notice for RLL and his future contract, because now I know it's a 1 year deal, and I know he has an F1 out clause in it and all that other stuff. But if he wants to stay here, he's got to start delivering. And I think they've put Malloy on the box to say, this is it, no more excuses.
If you can't do it with this guy, man, we're gonna stop expecting you to. Yeah, when I found out he was on his fourth. Now, one of those four race engineers was there for the Indy 500 because the guy who Mick was currently working with always works with Takuma Sato for the
Right.
500. So, okay, let's say three race engineers
But
because I consider
still,
that more a substitute. That's still three race engineers over half, like, a little more than half a season. Man,
yeah.
that
And
doesn't feel like your team is very confident, and it feels like they're starting to get frustrated. And now they've put you with, like, the big guy. It's like when you are really acting up in class and you have to go sit by the teacher's aide, you know? Like that's kind of what it feels like a little bit. And I don't know that this bodes very well for Mick. I would be sad to say goodbye to him just because the story is fascinating, if nothing else. And he also is a very nice guy.
yep.
But yeah, I mean, Road America should have been a strong race for him. That's the kind of track that he has a familiarity with, and he looked great through practice. The car
Right.
had the speed. So to see him continue to have these little moments where it's like, hey, he might be getting there, and then just nothing when the results come in. It's just getting harder and harder to say we should keep Mick Schumacher.
Yeah, I mean, we said, okay, Barber, that should have been the road courses are where he should have a natural advantage, where he should show his best. So this is it. Mid Ohio,
And none more so than Road
great road
America, by the
course.
way. Road America was his best like his
Yeah,
most European like track. And now that's over. And you're right, it's Mid Ohio now.
yeah.
This is
This
it,
is an
dude.
important track for him, and obviously Laguna Seca will be at the end of the
Mm,
season.
so
Portland
beautiful.
too. So, he's got three road courses left. We got a couple of street courses. We'll
But
see.
I would say at this point, he really needs to have at least a decent result on all of them to
Right.
make me comfortable.
And the question that we don't know the answer to is, what is his being on the team doing for global media
Sure.
attraction
Which
for
is huge. Yeah.
RLL and the sponsors?
And this series in general, I
Right.
mean,
I mean,
there
we
are
know we see the
certainly.
German, reporters in the press room and on the,
Hmm.
and on the Zoom. So they're there covering him because
Hmm.
that's important. But is it bringing IndyCar to Germany, or is it just bringing Mick Schumacher to Germany
Sure.
because he happens to be in
To
IndyCar?
be it. Yeah. Is it, hey, let's watch IndyCar, or
Yep.
is it what's Mick Schumacher doing today?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the question. Yeah, I think that that's a really important component. And while Mick is not a pay driver in the traditional sense, he does bring.
Yeah.
I mean, he brings money. Let's be honest. This kind of media attention comes with money and
Right.
sponsorship, and
Sponsorship and
that's
other things.
awesome. And it's not a knock on him. I'm not like
No,
he
but
earned this seat for sure,
we
but
want
there's
to
a
see
reason that,
him.
yeah,
Yeah, we want to see him succeed.
yeah,
I would love for Mick Schumacher to find it, switch it on, and the second half of this season have 3 or 4 top 10 finishes.
That would be super exciting. I
Yep.
I would absolutely love that.
I know Graham would love that.
Oh, I'm sure he would. All right. So those are the drivers we got to keep an eye on. Harvey, talk us
Yeah.
through the course a little bit. What are people going to be looking at?
Well, Mid Ohio Sports Car Course, it is a great layout. Again, I put a funny little thing up on my Instagram a couple days ago that said, "Do you think Mid Ohio is jealous of Road America?" And people are like, "Of course it is," And
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't be?
who wouldn't
Everybody's
be?
jealous of
But
Road America.
but a lot of people jump to the track's defense, as they should, because my point was not so much that Road America is such a better track and facility. It is, but it was the fact that, man, the love heaped on Road America by the broadcast crew, by all the journalists we hung out with, and everybody. Any track would kill for that kind of
Yeah, it's
treatment,
it's
and
universally beloved by
yeah.
drivers, journalists,
Yeah.
broadcasters, and fans. So,
So anyway, what you're looking though at is a fantastic layout of vintage sports car course with a lot of great, different types of turns, enough straightaways, decent passing zones. So even though it's shorter than Road America by, almost a mile and 3/4, and it has 13 corners, so only one fewer than Road America, it still gives you plenty of opportunity. Um, there's a straight that comes into the keyhole where you have a lot of heavy braking, a lot of passing opportunities there. After you go around the keyhole, you go into the longer straight where the start line is. The start line happens on that back stretch. The finish line is on the front stretch
okay, great.
where the pits are. So they do that because they don't want everybody bunched up coming out of their carousel, which is the last corner on the course, onto the main straight.
You know what?
Um,
Smart.
yeah, so it just helps. But the start of the race has been chaos here in the past because you come down that long back straight into turn 4, which is basically a 90-degree right-hander, which goes almost immediately into a more than 90-degree left-hander. So it's a really fun little sequence, and it forces people on the start to really play nice, or it's chaos.
That's fantastic. I'm
And
looking
then
forward
you
to
come
it.
out of that turn 5 into turn 6 and the S's that they have set up there. And that's where Alex Palou got into trouble last year. And he
Hmm.
lost his focus for, a split second, went off the track. Dixon got by him and he wasn't able to recover. So that's a place where the thing about this track is, as short as it is, with as many turns as it has, it is a little relentless. As a driver, you have to be focused all the time. At Road America, on the front straight, on the straight going down into turn 5, even going in on the straight going into Canada Corner, between Canada Corner and the King, you can kind of take a breath
Rest your
if you're
eyes a little
not
bit.
battling for position.
Sure.
Um, Mid Ohio, not a lot of places to take a breath because you come out of the S's, you go into turn 9, which is again a tight right-hander down the hill into the carousel. It just happens, bang, 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 bang. So you're going to see a lot of action, mostly in the front half of the lap. The second half, people typically kind of settle in and try to set themselves up for those passes into the corners at the end of the longer straights.
Great.
So a lot of great places to watch from. I've been there for IndyCar races. I've been there for sports car races. I've been there for motorcycle races. If you're going to the event, sit outside the keyhole for a while. That's just such a fun place to see the cars come through, and you can really get a sense of whose car is balanced and whose isn't there. So that's a good one. They have an area called China Beach, which is outside of turn 4. That's a good place to sit. and just in the front straight, the iconic wooden grandstands, everything. It's such a cool track.
Nice. And guess what? It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Where do people stay?
Lexington, Ohio, if you drew a triangle from Toledo to Cleveland to Columbus, Lexington is right in the middle of that triangle. So,
Great.
and there isn't a lot right there. There's camping on the facility, and it's super fun to camp there. I did that myself back in my motorcycle days. Um,
Hmm.
so, super fun area to camp. But it's not like Road America or Laguna Seca where there's a town nearby and lots of stuff. You have to go a little ways from the track to find hotels. You have to get over to Interstate 71 and then up and down there's going to be some hotels and things like that. Um, so yeah, it's not as easy for someone coming in for a weekend as say a Road America or Laguna Seca.
Sure. But you got a triangle of cities.
Yeah, you've
Not
got
too
big
far
cities
away.
not too far away, an hour or so away each. So, they'll draw a lot of people from those markets. A lot of people come in from Pittsburgh. It's not that far away, Western Pennsylvania. Indianapolis is not that far a drive either, maybe
Three and
three
a half
hours.
hours from Indy. Yeah, it's not bad at all.
So, and we used to ride our motorcycles down there from Detroit. So it's not that tough a drive down. So, excuse me. So it's not that tough a drive down. They don't have trouble filling
Excellent.
the grandstands in that track.
Well, I'm really looking forward to the race. I'm also really looking forward to seeing what the broadcast numbers were or are going to be. I know that Road America's numbers got a huge boost from the World Cup lead in,
Yep.
but you can't tell me that was all World Cup. And I'm really excited to see if Mid Ohio can capture the attention of so many people the same way that so much of this season has been doing. I'm really excited to see this
Yeah,
sport
we should
continue
have
to
a
grow.
great race. We
Yeah.
should have a great race. It's a great track. The field doesn't get spread out that much. We've got 4 or 5 drivers who could easily win this race, probably more.
And
So,
a lot of drivers with something on the line. Outside of the win, a lot of drivers with something on the line.
and we'll talk more about that on Saturday after qualifying.
Certainly will.
And we'll make our predictions as to who we think is going to come out on top. And we'll see if we can get one right this time.
God, it's just like an exercise in humiliation.
Oh, yes, it
Oh
is.
well. Oh well.
Oh,
All
well.
right.
So for Rides and Drives Team Radio, I'm Harvey. She's Kaz. And we are out until Saturday.
Drive safe, everybody.